Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel today for another video on Gran Turismo Sport. We're back with the Road to GT7 series that is currently going on at the moment on GT Sport. This is round 2 at Suzuka in Group 3, so if you're not aware, this series is completely open setups. Now the aim of this was apparently, a lot of people thought it was to provide more variety in car selection. However, that is not the case. When you open up setups, what it does, it leads to a single make race because MR cars become invalid in Group 3. So yeah, this race was a DBR9 race, pretty much everyone in the same car. Now this was a qualifying session. We're starting a lap. I decided to go for a slipstream quali. Now we managed to get a 53.8 in one qualifying session solo. I wanted to give it a go just to see what it was like, as we're following behind Miro here into the first sector at Suzuka. You can see trying to keep the car nice and smooth. This was slot number 3 or 4. I think it was slot number 4 of the day, this one. We had pretty good race pace throughout the day, just not really qualifying high enough. We were always qualifying between P11 and P13, pretty much P14, something like that. But race pace, really strong. We managed to go from like P15 to P8 in slot 1 of the day. Got like 296 points, but we wanted to get the 300 points and we were just short pretty much all through the day. But this race, you can see Miro made a little mistake out of the right hand corner and that gave us a slipstream back, and we're in the slipstream all the way up the straight here. Now at this point we're heading for quite a good lap. However, into the chicane, braked a little bit too cautiously, a little bit too I would say just not taking any risks, just taking it nice and smooth, getting his slipstream and then working our way to the finishing line. You can see not really doing the best lap possible there, and yeah, we put ourselves on a 53.9. Now I knew I could go better than that. Now next lap we're still in the slipstream and we were on a slightly better lap this time. You can see as we go through this sector here, we're actually up on the time, even though we know we can push on the final corner as well. So if we push through here, we should be able to get ourselves a 53.7, I would say. But again, we take it too cautious, turned in so early because I took it too early on the brakes, and unfortunately picked up a penalty. So this lap is not going to count, and I think we ended up qualifying down in P6, I think it was, or something like that. You can see, well, P5 at the moment there, but by the time the race starts, we're dropped down the order. So working our way through the grid, we can see we've got a lot of fast drivers in front of us. As we go through the grid now, you can see in P1 we have Antonio there, one of the fastest drivers, F by Ella, Miro in front of us, Khalees Fall there, and Albafor, and myself in P6. We also had Killian behind us, one of the fastest drivers on Gran Turismo Sport in my personal opinion. So this is going to be a tough race. So starting on the medium tyres, this was the option I went with, because starting from P6 it gives us the ability to get ahead of anyone who's starting on the hard tyre at the start of the race. So you can see straight away pretty much okay start. We pull away from the cars behind, some of them clearly on the hard tyre. We're going to go around the left hand side of Albafor, so he's clearly on the hard tyre as well, because we had so much more grip than he did, and we put ourselves straight up into P5 in this race. Now in front of us we can see Miro kind of struggling. Now at this stage I'm thinking he's probably going to be on them hard tyres, because you can see the car's behaviour going through some of these corners while they're cold. You can see how his car's rotating a lot, rear's losing grip. So I knew I had to get past him as quick as possible, but at the moment he's got a bit of a slipstream to Khalees Fall there. You can see almost losing control of his car through that left hand corner, and that's how you know that he's on the hard tyres, because the mediums on the start of the race actually provided reasonably good grip. So through the right hand corner, going under the bridge here and then into the tight hairpin. A little bit too far back to really go for a move at this stage. We're just going to have to sit behind him and wait for an opportunity to appear. So coming out of the exit here, we get a little bit more grip than Miro. You can see him sliding around on them hard tyres. That's going to give us a little bit more speed onto the straight and going into Spoon Corner. So are we going to be close enough to go for a move? It doesn't look like we are. We're going to be about 2 to 3 attempts behind him into the braking zone. We can't really send one there, way too far back. So just trying to get a strong exit from Spoon now onto the back straight. Let's see what we can do. Nice smooth entry there and smooth on the throttle, and we should have a nice run on the straight. Now as we're going down here, we go for a move, we get the slipstream, and as we go to the right hand side of the track, I'm not sure if Miro moves slightly or whether that's just a bit of hit detection or a bit of like lag or something, but yeah, we ended up just bump drafting him on the straight. So yeah, into the next braking zone, and we're going to brake nice and early, try and get a strong exit from the final chicane, because we're on the medium tyre, he's on the hard tyre. We should be able to get a better exit, which we do, and now it's just a case of getting the slipstream. Now I didn't think Miro would fight us too much here, because he's on the hard tyres. If anything, what he'll want to do is try and use our slipstream to stay with us for a little bit and benefit his hard tyre run. So He's not going to fight that. You can see staying to the left-hand side of the track. We're obviously on the faster tyre. And this is the thing. In top split, you'll see that a lot of people won't fight that situation. In lower splits, they will fight it because they won't realise that helping their race out. So in that situation there, really advisable to do what Miro done. And you'll see at the end of the race why that's a good idea, because he's going to help his own race out a little bit, get a bit of slipstream. He's not going to lose time fighting us. And we're now through up into P4. And we can try and stay with Khaleesful now. So the battle now for us is trying to keep pace with Khaleesful and see if we can put him under some pressure. So through here, we can see we actually gain a little tenth or two, staying pretty close to him. Through the two right-hand corners, and now under the tunnel there, under the bridge, and we get quite a strong exit there, now into the hairpin. And we're actually doing quite a good lap here. We're much better now that we've got no dirty air. We can use them medium tyres and actually try and do some reasonable lap times. And we're actually staying pretty close to Khaleesful and actually putting him under a bit of pressure now. So he's going to have to keep on it, make no mistakes, and that's what we're going to try and do. Try and push all the way and keep him honest to the end of the race if we can, or even go for a move if we have any opportunity. So into spoon corner again, try and keep it nice and smooth. Now the setup we're using obviously was from AMS Dood, so do go and give him a subscription if you're looking for any sort of setups for the Road to Gran Turismo series. They're the ones we're using. I think a lot of people are using him in terms of the top areas on the game. Like a lot of people were using him in top split, although I will say there was quite a few people using a different setup. You could tell by the way the car was handling, possibly altering it for the race for tyre wear and stuff like that, because there is a way of making the tyres last a little bit longer, but I don't really know how to do that yet. So I made some slight changes to the setup. I'd lowered the anti-roll bars a little bit, put a tiny bit of rear downforce on just to give it a little bit more traction on the rear so that the rears weren't going so loose. And I think we made a slight change to the camber on the rear as well to try and help with the grip for the race conditions. Now, it didn't really slow us down for qualifying on the race. It worked quite well as we skipped to lap 4. And you can see our lap times were fairly consistent. Going again, we're staying pretty close to Khaleesful every lap. We're up to lap 5, lap 6 now. And everything, we're staying pretty much static around 1.2 to 1.4 seconds behind them. You see here, 1.2. Not really losing any distance. We see F by Ella there in the pits ahead of us. He started on the soft tyre and driving quite well. Now we're going to skip ahead to the lap 8. Now I think we're going to go for a pit stop. You can see, sorry, the end of lap 7. We're going to go for a pit stop this lap. You can see that the gap is again around about 1.3, 1.4 seconds. The tyres are starting to fade at this point. So just trying to keep it nice and smooth on the curb. And just be careful on the pit entry because it's very easy to lose the rear on the pit entry. So early up drift to third gear, you see that little moment there. As the rear steps out, very easy to lose control there. So fast forward in the pit entry, into the pits, and we're going to go for the soft tyre on stint 2 because we want to get in clean air and just push and get away from any trouble. So onto the soft tyre, you can see we've come out in clean air. Now we can see that Miro is ahead of us because he started on the hard tyre and then obviously put the softer tyre on, or maybe medium tyre. I would think he's probably put the medium tyres on maybe. And he's coming to the end of that stint because you can see that we're actually catching him up now. So Khaleesful is going to be right behind him. So Khaleesful's going to obviously want to get past him as soon as possible. And also for myself, we're going to need to get past him as soon as possible because I believe he's probably on worn medium tyres now, probably coming to the last few laps of his medium tyre stint. So he's probably got like 2 or 3 laps maybe left on them. So he's going to be losing a bit of pace, but we see there up ahead of them we've got another driver that probably hasn't pitted yet on also worn tyres. So Khaleesful going for that move onto the hairpin, and it looks like Miro is not going to fight that too much. He's just going to tuck up behind and use the slipstream again. So again, racing smart, this is what the best way to do it is. Tuck up behind them, use a bit of slipstream. Now he's gaining a tenth or 2 on this straight, and then if he can stay in the slipstream for the hairpin, for the spoon corner, he's going to gain another few tenths on the back straight. So this is why using other people's slipstream is really smart. It helps your race pace. Might only gain you like half a second to a second overall, but that could be important in terms of a pit stop strategy of not coming out behind someone. So he's got that slipstream. We've now got the slipstream to Miro because our tyres are obviously fresh soft tyres versus his worn medium tyres. So we should be, again, it should be a case of just finding a way past once we're up behind him and getting past as quick as possible. So into the chicane, we need to really find a way past it as quick as possible. You can see he's still got the slipstream to Khaleesful, and Khaleesful has just been held up by a driver who's going into the pits there. So that's how before into the pits, he's been held up a little bit, and that means that Khaleesful's give the slipstream back to Miro. So we aren't going to be able to go for a move into turn 1. So So that's unfortunate. We have a little look up the inside, but we're too far back, and you can see how close this is now. We're not too far from Cleesfall, because Cleesfall has lost time there, but we're right up behind Miro, and we're probably going to lose a bit of time through this section now. The first sector, looking how close we are, we're right up behind, but there's not much we can do in terms of an overtake through here, because, like I say, it's not really an overtaking position. We're just going to have to try and find a way. You can see us taking tighter lines, a lot more grip than what he's got. Cleesfall is getting away from us now. We're going to go to the right-hand side of the track and really try and get a tight line through here. We've got a lot more grip than what he's got on them medium tyres, and we're going to go up the inside, and we've actually managed to make the move. So up into P4 and back ahead of Miro. Miro is obviously going to now just try and stay in our slipstream for as long as possible to help his worn medium tyres out a bit there. So gap again around 1.2, 1.3 seconds to Cleesfall, so we haven't really lost out massively. We've probably lost out about a second in terms of our race pace, because being held up a little bit there, but it's not been too bad. We're not actually lost too much to Cleesfall, because he lost out on the entry going into the pits when L4 pitted. So yeah, overall pretty equal in terms of time lost. So now we just got to try and keep it nice and smooth. Again, try and get a good exit off here. You can see behind us, we've got now Killian behind us. So Killian has managed to come through the field. He started a few places back, and now Killian is getting close to our slipstream. Now, Killian actually pitted a lap earlier than us to get an undercut. I don't know if you spotted it, but he pitted one lap earlier, and he's now got one lap older tyres, but he's obviously a very, very fast driver. So we're going to have to see what we can do here. I think once he's in the slipstream, he's going to find it very, very difficult to actually get past with them older tyres, because he's going to struggle with the understeer. So we're just going to keep it nice and smooth. We see another driver going in the pits there off the hard tyres. That's Antonio going for probably a soft, hard, and then medium stint to get rid of the slipstream from F by Ella, because I think F by Ella was just sitting in the slipstream. So again, we're going to skip a little bit further ahead, and we were doing quite well actually. At this stage of race, on lap 11, we were starting to get Killian out of the slipstream. He had got fairly close, but now his tyres are fading. We were actually starting to pull away from him, and we were gaining on Cleesfall. We can see we were getting a lot closer to Cleesfall within about a second of him here. However, got a little bit too greedy on the throttle, got onto the curb, and just about managed to save it. A huge moment there. Nearly lost control of the car, but managed to get it going again. We decided here to stay to the right-hand side of the track and not defend against Killian, because he had the run on us. So I just lifted, let him through, tuck in behind him, and see if we can get the slipstream and then go for a move into the chicane. So sending it up the inside, we're going to go back to see if we can get past him. This is all for position. This is why we're racing now, because if we stay ahead of him, we should be able to stay ahead of him to the end of the race, because it's very hard to overtake. So we go for a move again, side by side. Very good racing there. Killian holds on to that. Now we've got the slipstream. We're going to go for a little fake to left, get the inside line, and see if we can hold the inside line into turn one. This is going to be interesting. Can we send it up the inside? We go into turn one, both of us side by side. Absolutely brilliant racing here. Killian ducks under. We're going to try and get on the throttle. We're going to have to be a bit patient though. The rear goes a little bit loose. Killian goes around the right hand side. We're going to have to back out there. We decide to lift, and we don't really want to be taking anyone out. So Killian, very good driving there by Killian, and we managed to keep ourselves on the track, but unfortunately lose that position. So yeah, nearly managed to keep ourselves ahead. We lost obviously a bit of time to Cleesfall, but this was for position, so we're always going to battle that one, because if we can stay ahead of Killian, that means we just have to defend for the last few laps when we put the hard tyres on. But yeah, he managed to get that one, but some great racing there, and really good to be able to battle like that with drivers that are as fast as Killian. You can see there, we also managed to stay in the slipstream now pretty much until the pit stop phase. Obviously, he's got a lap older tyres, so it was a little bit easier for me to stay with him, because obviously our tyres are one lap fresher. But we did a good job here, staying in the slipstream all the way up to the pit stop phase, which we're coming to now on lap 14. Now, at this stage, we've got to just go in the pits, put the hard tyres on, and do 2 laps. So it's going to be interesting. Now, if we look ahead, though, Cleesfall decides to stay out and go for a longer stint on them soft tyres, which possibly could be a mistake, because like we know, the soft tyres get very tricky on that 8th lap. So we're going to go in the pits. Killian's obviously done 8 laps on them tyres, but we're just going to do the 7 laps and then do 2 laps on the hard tyres. This was probably the optimal strategy for me. 7-7-2 keeps the tyres nice and smooth. The hard tyres then could outperform tyres that were 8 laps old, in my view, for me. But you can see into the first sector, trying to keep it nice and smooth. At this stage, we're still trying to push, because we want to try and stay with Killian. But you can see on the hard tyres, I do tend to struggle a little bit. This is probably my weaker area on Gran Turismo. When the grip's a little bit lower, I do struggle a little bit more. But we're going to see what we can do in staying with him. You can see we're around 7 tenths behind him. We're going to keep pushing, see if we can stay close to him all the way through here. On the throttle nice and early. You can see we're still pretty much just about in that slipstream, but it's going to be very hard to stay with him all the way through these 2 right-hand corners. So downshifting to 4th gear, trying to keep it nice and smooth. We've got a bit of a gap to P7, who's on probably very worn tyres. So all we've got to do now is keep P7 behind us. If we can get a P6 in this race, I was going to be pretty happy, because that would be over 300 points, because it was quite a high rated lobby still. So out of the hairpin, on the throttle nice and early, you can see that we're not losing too much pace to Killian. However, once he's broke that slipstream, I knew that we weren't really going to be able to battle him, because Killian is a faster driver. So at this stage, it's just about making sure that we don't crash and lose any positions to any drivers behind us. You can also see ahead of us there that Miro is managed to get himself ahead. He's up there and he's done all his pit stops. So, and that is why it really does show. It shows the benefit of not battling too much, using people's slipstreams, and just racing pretty smart, because now Miro is up into P2. Is he going to stay there as he goes over line? Yeah, Miro is up into P2 in this race. So that shows you the advantages of racing clever and not battling too much. But Kaliesful has ended up losing a position there, because Kaliesful decided to go that extra lap and actually made a mistake into turn 1, ran wide, and now we're behind him. So yeah, unfortunately, if we wouldn't have made the mistakes that we made in this race, we possibly could have got a P4 out of it. But Kaliesful also made mistakes, so it's just an if. But yeah, it was quite frustrating we made that little error, because I think we would have been able to hold Killian off with just defending quite aggressively. You can see we're taking it quite easy now. We've not really got much to battle for. We've got Kaliesful in front of us. He's a little bit too far ahead. So at this stage, we just don't want to make any mistakes. We don't want to make an error that loses us time. So we're just taking it nice and smooth. We've got enough of a gap to P7 to not really worry about him getting in the slipstream. You can see that every time he gets close, he gets a bit of dirty air, and his tyres are completely dead anyway. So we just got to keep it nice and calm, keep it smooth, and try not to make any errors as we come through to Spoon Corner. So fast forward in the action here, all the way through Spoon Corner, onto the back straight, down the straight now on the final lap. Can we hold on? All we've got to do now is one more chicane nice and smooth as we come to the final chicane, taking it nice and easy, not taking any risk. We don't want to pick up a penalty. And now we've just got to drive to the finish line for a nice and pretty well earned P6. And that is quite a competitive lobby to get a P6 in. So pretty happy with that. Could have gone better. That one little mistake lost us the ability to probably push for a P4. But yeah, we take a P6, 326 points I think it is, and a pretty solid result for our first race in the Road to GT7 event. We're possibly going to do the go-kart race. I will test it out, see what it feels like. Not too sure if we're going to do it yet, but we might do that one. But we probably won't do the last race in the season, as it's not really my thing. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with more videos and live streams in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.